Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Greenfoot, day 2 for chapter 1, and we're going to start dealing with the screen edges to start off with. Question number 1, where does the crab get its move and turn methods from? You should know this from before. Alright, inheritance. Write these notes. Remember, anything in red is a note. Inheritance, a subclass inherits all the methods from its superclass. That means that it has and can use all the methods that its superclass defines. So basically, crab is an animal and crab is an actor, and therefore crab can use all the methods that are defined in animal, and crab can use all the methods in actor. Crab is a subclass of these guys, and these guys are superclasses of this guy. Okay? Alright, exercise 2.9. Open the editor for the animal class and then switch to the documentation view and find the list of methods for this class, and then answer the question, how many methods does this class have? So what I want you to do is open up your little crabs that you started. Okay, double click on the animal class. You're going to go to the documentation. Here's the source code. You're going to switch to the documentation, and you're going to count up how many. Here's the methods 1, 2, 3. Count those up, see how many there are, and answer that question. Alright, so take a look. Inheritance, we're learning about inheritance. So this whole concept that the crab class can do everything that's in the animal class means that it inherits all the methods that are in the animal class, while the animal class inherits all the methods of the Greenfoot actor class. So this guy inherits everything from here and here. Okay, and by the way, here's all your methods that go along with the animal class. See? So the animal class, all these guys belong to him, and therefore he can do all these things as well. Okay, number 1, what do you call? Look at this. This is void, boolean, boolean, void, void, void. What do you call a method with a void return type? Question number 2, what does a method with a void return type return? Number 3, what do you call a method with a non-void return type? And number 5, what does a method with a non-void return type return? Answer those questions before we move on. Okay, calling a method with a void return type issues a command. Calling a method with a non-void return type is asking a question. So for example, this guy is saying eat. It's just saying do this thing, and this thing right here is asking a question. Are you at the world's edge? And because it's boolean, the answer is either going to be true or false. Okay, we're going to have to do something. Exercise 110. Create a crab and place it in the middle of the world. Right click it and find the boolean at world edge method. Call the method. What does it return? And then let the crab run to the edge of the screen, and then call this at world edge method again. And now what does it return? So if you don't understand that, what you're going to do is you're going to grab the crab, put him here, and you're going to go to its method. By the way, look, there's no methods built into it. They're all from animal and actor. These are all inherited. So you have to click on that and find out what it returns, and then you're gonna let them run, get to the edge. Oh, you shouldn't turn like that yet because I'm ahead of you guys. But anyway, let them get to the edge and then find out again. Answer those questions. Okay. Next thing is we'll learn about conditional statements. This is where we actually get some powerful control over what happens in a programming language. And you're going to write this code right here. So in the act method, you're going to write if you're at the world edge, turn 17. And then move. And so this is a conditional statement. It's in Visual Basic, if you're familiar with Visual Basic, you're not, but it's like an if-then statement. Okay. Now write this down. Conditional statements are decision statements. You're actually making a decision. You only execute it if something is true, if the condition is true. Take these notes. An if statement can be used to write instructions that are executed only when a certain condition is true. All right, stop taking notes for a second and check this out. Stop your notes. Do your notes in a little bit. Okay. This is the condition. The question is, are you at the world's edge? Notice that's a boolean method. It has a boolean return type. So it's going to answer true or false. So if at world's edge is true, then you're going to turn 17. If it returns a false, well, you're going to skip this entirely. Okay? So that instruction will run if the condition is true. This statement will not run. It'll skip over this if the statement is false. Now take your notes. Alright, exercise 212. Try this out. Type in the code above. So we're going to type in this code above. Alright, and check this out. Make sure that when you type in the code, you remember that bracket starts the class, that bracket ends the class. That bracket starts the act method, that bracket ends the act method. This is for the if statement. So you're saying, hey, if this is true, start it, do this, end it. Okay, so make sure these brackets all look right. Okay, experiment. So do this. Type in the code. Be careful with the brackets. Experiment with different values for the parameter to find one that looks good. So basically, what they're saying is, here's the parameter. Mess around with that number and see what looks good. And then place the move statement inside this statement rather than after it, and then find out what happens. So what they're saying there is, see how this is outside of this bracket? Put it right after the turn. So go here, hit enter, and put the move right after turn, and see what happens then. Alright, we are now done, for the most part, with Chapter 2. So here's what we learned. In this chapter, we have seen how to call methods such as move, with, and without parameters. This will form the basis for all further Java programming. We have also learned to identify the body of the act method. This is where we start writing our instructions. By the way, don't tune me out yet because there's some questions still to come, so listen up. You have encountered some error messages. This will continue throughout all your programming endeavors. We all make mistakes, and we all are going to encounter error messages. This is not bad. This is just part of it. We have encountered a first glimpse of inheritance. Classes inherit the methods from their superclasses. And when we looked in the documentation view, we saw that a class gives us a summary of the methods available. And very importantly, we have seen how to make a decision. We have used an if statement for conditional execution. This went hand in hand with the appearance of the Boolean type, a value that can be true or false. A method call is an instruction that tells an object to perform an action. The action is defined by a method of the object. Additional information can be passed to some methods within the parentheses. The value passed is called the parameter. Multiple instructions are executed in sequence, one after the other, in order which they are written. When a class is compiled, the compiler checks to see whether there are any errors. If an error is found, an error message is displayed. A subclass inherits all the methods from its superclass. That means it has and can use all the methods that its superclass defines. Calling a method with a void return type issues a command. Calling a method with a non-void return type asks a question. An if statement can be used to write instructions that are executed only when a certain condition is true. Here is your quiz. What is the name for an object? What is the name for when an object has and can use all the methods that its superclass defines? And if you want your crowd to make a decision, what is a structure you can use? The end.